All right, everybody. I think I'm back. Of course, I have to reset everything. I don't know what's going on. We're a long ways away from a Mercury retrograde, although not that far. But boy, oh boy, is this going to be kind of a fun time. So, welcome back, everybody. I know that there's probably only a few people that are probably jumping on here. Um, so I'm going to wait a couple of minutes here to make sure that people can kind of see what to do, jump on, all that other good stuff. Oh, holy Toledo. I think we're in it. Hey guys, thanks for following up and jumping back on. Um yeah, could you imagine that somebody that telegraphs that they're going to be doing a show that is clearly kind of picked a side? Good, Lynn. Yeah, I took the chart down. We'll show the chart again. And thank you for that heads up out there too. Eyes and ears in the field. Tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what you're voting. Um, I think it's been an interesting kind of week. And I don't know how you guys are, but I'm starting to get affected by people that have completely checked out of logic and reason. Again, if you want to vote for DJT because you think that he stands on his good political groundings or whatever the deal is, okay. But if you're doing it because you can't wait to see other people cry or go get your Kleenex or whatever the case may be, I mean, yeah. It's it's an interesting dynamic too that it's we're really revealing ourselves to people and in this where we want to stand our ground and Penny, and by the way, thanks guys for tuning in. On Saturday we are going to be doing a whole lot more stuff together, Penny and I, but Penny kind of put me on the spot and she knew it when she was like, we're going to be neutral, and I'm like, we're not going to be neutral. I love Penny to death, and I respect her position, and I think the world of her professionally and personally. But I couldn't just go, oh yeah, we're gonna be nondescript. Fuck that. Excuse my French. And if I get a demerit in YouTube world or whatever, it's funny. I've got some funny stories to tell you from this weekend, but it was I won't abide with the idea that I have to get along with somebody that hates. Like I have a standard, and that standard is you can fail. Okay, failure is an option. It's a great learning tool too. Um, if you want to go down the path of, hey Joanne, how are you? Colleen, good to see you. What is this? Couple of weeks in a row. Lynn, good, thank you. I was really kind of put in that tough position because I had something that you can allow yourself to bring us to a place, right? And I've long since said this when it comes to like Roe v. Wade. Um, men, I discount my opinion, but I don't devalue it. Like I've never been put in that position. I've never been part of a decision like that. I've never been in a scenario where I've had to say, well, this is what's best for everyone. I've never been in that situation, and I'm pretty sure at 51 I'm not going to be. But the conversation that in the dynamic for me is always, well, I have something here, but I want to leave it to experts to figure this out. And when it came to, Penny giving me her European opinion about whether or not I should have an opinion, I kind of was like, no, we're not going to do that. And I really haven't been that far. Yeah, somebody just brought this up. Being spiritual doesn't mean you can't point out what is wrong or distance yourself from what is wrong. 100%. Spiritual does not mean that you have to be placated to be like, well, the universe will provide. I got 6 million Jews that will bet against the idea that you standing by idly is a good thing. The defense rests, Your Honor. We can't, but how do you be involved with a process that's incredibly flawed And let's take a moment of silence to recognize how corrupt the entire thing is. Whether you want to talk about, PAC money, which, by the way, was regulated and allowed under the Obama administration. Heroes die by the second with that title. Or the idea that there's that your vote kind of matters when we're in an electoral process where it is at a discounted rate through the funnel of versus where you're not actually against your neighbor, you're actually against your state. By the way, what's more dividing than that? New York's political opinion with way more many people versus a southern state, which has way fewer people, still getting a similar electoral vote kind of in it. And by the way, the electoral college absolutely has to go. Like, you mean to tell me that we had accurate American Idol voting and we can't get our own presidential election straight? Now, I understand the sovereignty of states and you kind of have to do your own thing and there's certain things to whatever, but our federal taxes seem to go off okay, right? Our postal service seems to generally work, right? We actually have a lot of skills here and we have a lot of ideas, right? It was just pointed out to me that my first video ended at 5:55. I had to go change. That was kind of cool. Well, here we are at 6:41 saying hello, everybody. Oh, how about 6:41? How about 164? We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, my camera's a little askew. I don't care. But we're seeing where, like, neighbors. I have a neighbor who's a predominant person in the school district put up a sign for Trump. And when she supported him in 2016, I thought, huh, cool. Okay. Hello, YouTube user. And you're one of my subscribers, but it says YouTube user. I don't know if you're hiding it or skullduggery. Hey, Stacy, how are you? And yeah, Lynn heard, 100% heard. Hey, Rachel, how are you? And this was somebody that, yeah, I still, and by the way, even though the sign is in her front yard, I still respect her because she actually has a very difficult job. She actually knocks it out of the park. I respect her as a professional. I like her as a person. And she's got a Trump Vance thing there. And I'm like, okay. In a vacuum, in 2016, I'm like, okay, the subculture is kind of there, right? I get it. I understand. I did not vote for a president in 2016. I voted for everybody else because I could not bring myself to vote for someone that was so heinously connected to so much skullduggery in the Democratic ticket, and I could not get over the woefully inexperienced Republican ticket. It was that simple. That was my point of view. And again, I know I share the point of view of a lot of people, but I also get that maybe that's not your vibe. Cool. In 2020, there was a moment of desperation to be anybody but him. Because after watching what he did and the amount of chaos that he brought, this is before Jan 6, by the way. When I watched that, and I was kind of like, what the heck? I changed political affiliations. And I actually did it for two reasons. One of them, I really realized I needed to be in local politics too. And I'm watching even in my own hometown, and I know some people that are in my neighborhood. Hey, Ken, how are you? And I needed to kind of like shift that. Well, I am in a Democratic town, period. End of conversation. It is 80% Democrat. It's just the way it is. And that Democratic Party is actually incredibly conservative where we are. And it really kind of appealed to, it's part of the reason why Pataki won as a Republican in New York. It's part of the reason why it's, we were almost a purple state about 20 years ago and that sort of thing. Well, for me to participate in local politics, I needed to be in the Democratic Party in order to vote for the Democratic primary. And quite frankly, with the way things were going, that's the way it was. By the way, lifelong Republican up till then, because I believed in fiscal conservatism, right? It's that one sliver of party affiliation that I could kind of get with. And I would always kind of celebrate the conservative part of this. Well, I'm really just a fiscal conservative because I'm off marrying gay people. So you figure it out, right? So to kind of even go along the lines in that and like decide like political affiliation and that sort of thing. Hey, Carolyn, how are you? Lady Ann. Nope. Lady Ann says goodbye. Um, to be able to kind of like present this in a way of like where my logic is, I'm saying it as an open sleeve because I think a lot of people need to start to recognize that you're wavering for a whole host of reasons. And now we're kind of at a position where we're being put at odds, which is the exact thing that they want. They want chaos. They want confusion. They want you to look at your neighbor and say, you're a piece of junk, vice versa, right? So over the last couple of months, I've been making posts very selectively, but very kind of in your face. And the post that I made today, and those of you that follow me on my personal Facebook is where I kept this, is it basically said, I cannot vote for someone that hates my children, my sister, my cousins, and basically what I do for a living. Like, I just can't consciously do that. And I don't give a shit what your political affiliation is. I just can't. I'm not down with hate. I just never have. I'm not down with wars. Even if you try and justify them, like to me, unless you're kind of being attacked, you really shouldn't be attacking. I mean, that's just kind of, I don't mean to be all, Mr. Miyagi about this, but the crane technique is really the only one you need, right? And you should have it firm. You should have it ready to go. So I have a hard time looking at Israel becoming an aggressor. I have a really hard time watching people become the aggressor because they suddenly have power or having an upper hand or feeling justified. And we're beginning to kind of realize that the energetic value of the individual people are just kind of on its merit. I went to Memphis last year and I went to the Civil Rights Museum, and it shook me to the core. Because first of all, how ignorant was I just getting an upstate New York education? I know half of the stuff on the walls, guys. And every single one of them would be headlines, even in today's world, of the things that the civil rights movement really kind of went through. And if you have a chance, watch the movie Till. It is it will tear you apart to see people be so cruel to one another, and let alone a boy who did nothing but had the color of his skin. And when I watched an entire building in a state that is completely irrelevant, right? Completely irrelevant. New York State is I mean, early voting, forget about even early voting. It is 67% Democrat. Like, you're not going to swing that many people. You're just not. 62%. I think 64%. There is like the fourth largest independent voter base, which is about 3.5%. And then the rest are Republicans. Well, back in the 90s, the reason why Pataki got elected is because he really appealed to this really kind of mid side of it. But regardless, like, it made no sense for him to come to Madison Square Garden except to bask in the reflection of the 1938 Nazi Party rally in Madison Square Garden. There is, and even if you don't think Donald Trump is a bad guy, and I actually think he's a pawn at this point, Stephen Miller is a root of evil. I'm going to call that out. In my gut of guts, in my I know it when I see it category, Stephen Miller has no respect for the human existence. He is a racist through and through. He will step over you once he orders your execution. Sorry. There are mean people in this world, and I get it. People will flip you off. People will cut you off. There are some people that just have bad days. That's not what we're progressing with. Puppet there, Lynn. But let's talk honestly here for a second. Is that really what we're up against? If this is what we have allowed in for all of us? Yeah, Till is very disturbing. I'm not going to lie. You will watch this and go, I can't sleep tonight. Can I ask a crazy question? Are we conscious? Like, do we have the skills? Every single great empire, every single great civilization falls apart. The Mesopotamians had it together. What made them fall apart? The Romans kind of were doing the right thing for a while, but then what made them fall apart? It's interesting when we start to really look at our own value system. And then you think we're contributing into this. For right or wrong, we pay our taxes, right? We're paying into this, right? That's our vote, if you will. Forget about electoral college. Are we ready to evolve to a higher level? Are we ready to give? And by the way, people like I just mentioned are always going to exist. They're always going to exist. There are going to be bad people in the world. Period. End of conversation. There are going to be people that have bad days everywhere. End of conversation. But for people to have a platform for that level of hatred, that's what's bothering me. I have a mixed race family. My kids are split down the middle, and their mother was from the Dominican Republic, their father was who knows. And Donald Trump basically said, "I hate your kids." I have a gay sister. That's not kind. I have a transgender cousin. I work with veterans. He hates veterans. Like, I'm sorry, how do we get this far? I'm going to stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot people in the face and not lose any votes. He was right. That's what bothers me. We no longer have a society that keeps ourselves in check. We have created this sarcastic dynamic that just goes, I posted, I cannot vote for somebody that hates. Basically, somebody who was a born again Christian actually wrote, you might want to get your flight on November 6th in a box of Kleenex because you'll be flying out of the country and you'll need the Kleenex for your tears. Oh, you found Jesus all right. I have another person that's been to a couple of my shows, and he wrote me a note saying, you didn't pick up on this real poignant loss, but get ready to fuck your feelings was basically his response. That man came to me for a reading and then said I didn't give him what he wanted. Oh, by the way, fuck your feelings. I have friends that I've known, and by the way, I get the appeal of early Trump. I get it. Long-standing friends that just can't wait to tell me how wrong I was. But I remember 3 years ago when your mother died, you sat in that office right there, cried like a baby, cried like you had lost everything. And you didn't heal from that pain because now you see the idea that other people might suffer as a joyride. You're not going to be able to use me anymore. You're not going to get solace from me. Right? Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck your feelings. We've created this dynamic where we just expect things. I still get notices. I still get messages from people going, I don't like that you're political. You just need to do your job. And you know what? I hope you suffer. I hope people stop going to you for readings. I hope people stop going to your shows. And you know what? My shows are not politically affiliated, but you better damn well know that I care about you when I come to you. Whether I come to your table, whether I come to your section, whether I come to this. So I've created my entire life to be anti whatever the fuck that was in Madison Square Garden. Excuse the bombs, but they're coming. I'm going to use the bombs here instead of there. And Friday night, I sold out a community theater. There were 164 people there. 164 people in a room to support this, whatever this is. I had that love sign up there. I probably did upwards of 60, 70 connections, readings. Yeah, I might have come to the table and said, she notices this about you. She notices this about you. She's grateful for this. Are you the Marie? Are you the Karen? Oh, yeah. It was on fire. And underneath it all, for all those people that wanted to hate, that might have gone to the show and like wanted to watch me fail. And I tripped up a little bit. It's a big crowd, right? It's a lot of energy. Was I 100%? 82, 83. Did I pass? Yeah. But what could have been better? Oh, yeah. Give me another shot because I like a good challenge. Let me take this nationwide. Underneath it all, I created a split with the theater that was very favorable to them. And at the end of the day, I was supporting a bunch of theater kids that were trying to figure out their sexuality. I was supporting the transgender person that was really going through some heady stuff and for once in their life wasn't bullied because they had a place to kind of hang their hat. I was supporting a community economic system that, if they utilize it correctly, will bring back business to downtown Gloversville. Got to open a restaurant across the street. You got to have a few more things around the area. You got to have whatnot shelves. You got to have things, right? Then it's Saturday night. I went to a small community wellness center. There's small budding one up in Glens Falls. By the way, Glens Falls, Hudson Falls, I'm coming, don't worry. Talking to them later on this week. I'll have a show to announce for the new year. And I hope you come and support that community theater as well. But the conversation and the dialogue for me isn't about, hey, look at you, you're doing a great thing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I've really kind of tailored my life, my career, my existence to helping others. And I know a lot of mediums talk about this, and I give them kudos, and they think that they're helping when they're like, well, I gave them crystals. Okay, did they need them? Right? And mediums have always been a long-standing kind of like, oh, we're always here to help, and we'll donate something, we'll do whatever. And then behind the scenes, they begrudgingly hate it all because it's actually work when they do it that way. I don't see it as work. I see it as an obligation, a connection to my gift. If I do this right, then my gift will continue. Fair enough. But doing this in a way, earlier in the month, and I look at what I've done this month. And I went to a community center it was basically an adult community center north of 55, I think. And I did a show there. It's worked it out where it's economically viable to them. And again, 30 something, a bunch of people all afternoon did some readings. And I went to another local budgering center in the middle of nowhere, needed some help, got 20 something people through the door, whatever. And it sounds like, oh, well, Brandon, you're 164 one night and 25 the next. Okay. You don't get it. If you went back in a time machine and told me 15 years ago that my numbers would be 164 one night and then 20 the next, I'd have been like, ooh, what the hell's wrong with me? Like, why can't I be consistent? What's wrong with my process? What's wrong with my advertising? I felt like I was doing the work I was supposed to be doing the entire time because I was meeting people that had real loss. I was meeting people that weren't given the opportunity to actually grieve at their place of work, because our system and our productivity is far more important than whether or not you lose somebody, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Just say F your feelings. You get 3 days when you lose somebody. So if you think this is something new that we're kind of like dealing with now, it's always been we have institutional narcissism everywhere. And by the way, narcissism isn't when you diagnose somebody. Narcissism is just a lack of empathy, where the greater good of whatever thing you're contributing to is far more important than whether or not you're part of it. Have you ever worked for a company and thought that the company would close when you leave? Guess what? None of them leave. None of them fold when you leave. They're just like, okay, seat open on 2. Literally. They don't care. Recruiting is a multi-billion-dollar industry for a reason, to replace you. You're replaceable until you lose them. And then nothing is replaceable. You can't replace a loved one. Oh, well, insurance will cover some of the cost of losing them. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, you're literally in a position to choose your career or your grief. So many people talk about socialism being bad. And quite frankly, that's the biggest crock of snot I've ever heard. For this reason and this reason alone. Socialism would have given you 6 months to bond with your child instead of 6 weeks. Socialism would actually give you healthcare so you don't have to worry about where your next, diabetic treatment is, or medicine of any kind, cancer medication. By the way, I just posted on all the channels Signs from Loved Ones. This is a free class. You have an option to donate if you want to, but I want you in the class more importantly. My value system is this is important information, and I want you to have it. Oh, and by the way, when you show up to the class, I'm going to tell you where I donate this to. So again, we're kind of back into this like this tenfold kind of thing where we're like, boy, I never even thought about how non-empathetic 3 days is. 3 days is so that then, you just can get your affairs in order and get back to work. And I don't want to hear the damn argument that, you know what, it's good for people to get back to work. Bullshit. You mean the place where if you fell off the face of the earth, they're going to have you replaced by next Wednesday? Right? When you have places of business where, I remember I was working with a company and this accountant hated me because he looked at me as pure overhead. Right. And I laugh about it because I'm like, dude is arguing with me. He was trying to pinch a penny. He was trying to like not pay out, retirement. And by the way, most of the people that are like, oh my gosh, you can't come and take my money, my social security and my whatever. I'm here to tell you all of your money systems are about to go sideways. Every single one of them. If you pay attention to it, the great astrological distraction right now is the election. But your money is in trouble. Cash on hand, guys. Have some cash on hand. You're going to be able to access it. You're like, oh, I got plenty of money in the bank. That don't buy this gas, brother. That don't buy my bread. Right? And you're like, Brandon, that's like doom and gloom. Nope. It's my unbiased opinion of what I saw on a chart. I know that Kamala just started. You guys probably have me on a split screen. Some of you do, because I know there's a bit of a rally going on. I think she's at the Ellipse tonight, which is very, monumental. And as much as I appreciate Kamala Harris, and I think she's very competent, I think she is, I want to see somebody go through an actual primary process instead of skipping all the parts of Candyland. Have you ever played like any of those games where you can just jimmy it just a little bit and like get to the end of it before the next person? And what's interesting is you're like, oh my gosh, you kind of got to the end of it, and it's like, well, I won it fair and square, and you're like, did you? Why did we do that crap? I feel like that's why Kamala's the nominee. She skipped everything. They could have made a very conscious decision. Like, his age didn't change. And by the way, his performance at the debate, Joe Biden, was not that dissimilar than what he was doing even 6 or 8 months earlier. Right? Yeah, Gerald Ford, I love it. Yeah, Gerald Ford's another one. Right? And the lessons of history right now, I'm going to tell you exactly the way this is going to go. Yeah, Stacey, hang in there. In 2000, what I'm about to say is going to be the most gut-wrenching thing I'm ever going to say. Al Gore was about to become our president. Like, counted votes, so forth and so on. And the Republicans have realized for a really long time, challenge everything, which in one respect, once upon a time, really resonated with me. They don't like the spirit of the law. They like the literal of the law, right? Except for when it applies to their person. The 14th Amendment, whatever. We don't really need a competent president. We don't really, like, treason is like, a lot of things. I could say what you're doing is treason. Like, say, being a judiciary on the Supreme Court and flying a flag upside down. Whatever, right? But they like to challenge everything, especially when it comes to your vote. Because did you fill the chat out really? Did you fill the bubble in 100%? Did you make your vote actually count? Is that what you meant when you filled in the Democratic candidate and you pushed it all the way through? Did you poke through the paper a little bit? Because technically it's no longer a vote. They got really good at technicalities, which is why the hanging chads of 2000 handed the election to George Bush. There were then enough votes. He got 271, and the rest is history. But it wasn't the history that was supposed to happen. Because shortly after that, 9/11 happened. If there was not fraud in that election, because I firmly believe that if somebody takes a pencil and pokes through the hole, and even if they don't clear it out, their intention was that one. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that had multiple ones. I get it. Okay, it's indecisive. We've got to throw them out. But the vast majority of them that were thrown out were because it didn't go all the way through, or poked it, but it didn't pierce it, or whatever. Which, by the way, is most of their defenses when they're up for assault charges. I just poked her. I didn't pierce her. Yeah, that was 100% a bad joke. But I was looking at you, prep boy. But instead of having the intention of the vote count, they wanted the literalness of a vote count. Instead of going back to the person, because it's jerry-rigged in such a way that you don't know whose vote that was, so we can't go back and check. And we can't do a recount, or we can't do something where when we, why don't we just recount this? Let's just cause enough mayhem so that we have to throw out enough of them. Oh, look at that. It's now Bush's country. The dimpled chads. Yes, yes, yes. These are people that are vile, that will do anything to say, you didn't mean to say that about me. You didn't mean to vote for that person. You know why I was a Republican for so many years? Because one of those prep boys took my card as I was filling it out and said, "You're a Republican. Get used to it. Look at you. You have to be a Republican." I'm sorry, what? And I had just enough apathy to want to get to my next class. Right? Now, listen, we can go on the debate and merits as to whether Gore would have been a good president or not. I get it. I understand it. but it was taken from the American people one way or the other, and 9/11 would have never happened because Dick Cheney wouldn't have never been in the White House. Don't you see it's not about Donald Trump, it's about the dickheads around him, just like it was with George Bush? George Bush is a patsy that says, I just want to make my daddy proud. By the way, Nostradamus called his shot. When the lesser of the former is elected, he will become a catalyst of chaos, bringing trouble to the masses. In Nostradamus' quatrain, he actually said the lesser of the former, Bush Jr., basically, would bring chaos. Nostradamus nailed it. Did he nail it again? And the great trumpet sounded, and the great city shook. Go see your rally in Madison Square Garden. Are we going to stop this? The age of Aquarius is barreling towards us. Like, we are just, like it or not, that's the one thing they can't control. Anybody can control. We are headed towards the age of Aquarius. Well, what is the age of Aquarius? Aside from personal accountability, aside from you actually doing the right thing, not because you are afraid of getting in trouble, but rather your soul knows it's the right thing to do. In this month alone, I did a fundraiser for the veterans. I did a fundraiser for these small mom and pop shops that needed it. Did a fundraiser for a theater, 2 theaters. I've been working with people behind the scenes to help them with their mental health. I've been helping the homeless, the drug addicted, the recovering alcoholics. They've been helping people find their way for a really long time. And I'll be goddamned if you try and shit shame me in public. I've got the light that's going to burn through all of this. And that's why I'm going to keep going. I don't think they have the guts to watch this far. But I know you do. And I know you all want a reading. Hey, Stacy, thanks so much for coming out the other day. Hey, Stacy, we're going to start dialogue here. By the way, go vote. Go vote Stacy. Oh, go Stacy. Oh, and by the way, can we finally get rid of the Let's Go Brandon shit? Right? Thank you, Stacy. Was it Stacy? Yeah. Hold on a second. Stacy Riv, I will get to you here, love. But Stacy Smith, were you at the show the other day? Yeah, by the way, I'm taking, hey, Kathy, how are you? We missed you last night. Oh, yeah, that's right. You had a thing going on. It's all good. Julie, I see you there. Hang in there. Yeah, somebody said that they were at the show. Yeah, it was an amazing show, by the way. Hey, Stacy Rev, thank you so much. Stacy, we're going to bring you up here. So, Stacy, could you give me a little bit of insight with where you were? And Stacy Smith, you were there too. Okay, I'm going to get to the both of you. Oh, so a few of you guys were at the Glove. Give us a few comments about what you kind of thought went well. I know that the sound system was definitely something I have to address. So, like I was sounding booming. By the way, did you like that I came out singing? There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. Hey, MJ, how are you? I'm glad you guys went there. Too many Stacys. Hey, Stephanie, quit mucking it up. But Stacy Riv, I'm coming to you here, kiddo. We're going to do some readings here. We're going to do some shuffle up and healing. By the way, the end of the show. Oh, there we go. Nope, we're going to go here. Thank you. I do appreciate that. By the way, Carolyn, I hope you're smiling. Carolyn had to talk me off the ledge a little bit. Sandy did too on the drive home. Carolyn, Sandy, and I were. First of all, if you ever want to have like a random. Yeah, and Black Belt, it's funny. It's like the sound. It wasn't the house system. The house system was great. You know what it is? It's people like to talk with the microphone way back there, right? Or they hold it upside down, or they don't really talk into the end of the microphone. That's the challenge. So, we're working on things. So, yeah, I had a few people, talk me down. If you ever want to have a random encounter with me, which sounds kind of weird that I would say it like that, go to whatever like local diner might still be open. And a shout out to Miss Johnstown Diner. It is a former caboose trailer. I was definitely working with the salt of the earth on this one. And what was on the menu? But nothing but like whatever shit food we could get out of the freezer at that hour. It was pretty fantastic. It was pretty okay. So the three of us are sitting in the back, drinking hot chocolate, shooting the breeze, laughing our full heads off, and wondering if our tetanus shots are up to date. But listen, it's all good. It's all good. It ended up being delicious. We ended up having a great time. Here we go. All right. Mix these guys up too. Holy Toledo. Realizing I didn't do some shuffling. So, little commentary. Did you guys like the card part at the end when I brought somebody up on stage and we did the cards? It was interesting because I brought two people up, and one person was a little bit younger. By the way, it was cousins, which there seems to be a theme lately. And one of them is just new, starting out in life. The other one was established, and their readings were pretty fantastic. Well, one of them actually owns a business, and it's like a tire company of some kind. And the last card was the Six of Wands, which has a wreath that looks like a tire on it. Like, how cool is that stuff, right? Yeah, so it's a little bit different, and it's okay, guys, I'm seeing you guys. Look at this. Yeah, if we can get that up to 164 here. By the way, it was a great fundraiser for them. They are Gratitude Central. I'm going to be helping them any way that I can. Look up the Glove Theater in Gloversville. I don't care where you are in the world. Follow them, like them. They do some really cool stuff with communities. They do a great job with mediums, so forth and so on. But we're coming to Stacy. Stacy, how are you? Oh, Ace of Pentacles. By the way, these are the same cards I had up on stage. And then we've got the Page of Swords. Oh, Stacy, what are we talking about here? Oh, and then the Knight of Wands, girlfriend. What do we got going on here? So the Ace of Pentacles, and I'm going to go here. I don't know if this is dad energy, but there's definitely a connection with the Ace of Pentacles to somebody in passing kind of saying, hey, let me just kind of coax you along here. The Page of Swords is a new idea. I don't know if you're going in a different direction, but when you start to charge, once you kind of like cut through the minutia of it, you're headed to higher ground. We're with Stacy Riv right now. I've got Stacy Riv on the phone here. And then we've got the Six of Pentacles. And then we've got the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands twice. This is about getting it all. Oh, this is a new adventure. This is a new job. The Fool card comes out. And by the way, the Fool card is not the Fool. Right? Oh, Kathy, I see you. Yeah, I'm here for your career and love life. Like, I want to have a walk-up song like that. James Joseph up in Epiphany North, where I had the show on Saturday, like wanted me to have a walk-up song. And what did he play but the Final Countdown by Europe? He goes, your hair. So, Stacy, are you heading into another direction? Stacy Riv? Kind of looks that way. She's saying, wow, everybody. Let's give you a little astrological advice. Oh, Jupiter. Holy shit. Woo! Come on, girl. How about a little Jupiter love? Hey, Jupiter, are you still the same, or are you new? Did I just go full Tori Amos? I think I did. This is about expansion. By the way, one of the greatest astrological songs of all time, Hey Jupiter, by Tori Amos. Go look it up. Yeah, Jupiter is about expansion. This is about being lucky. Quite frankly, this spread is about being lucky. You're going to find your balance. By the way, you're never going back to when you couldn't figure out how you could rob Peter to pay Paul. Your bills are going to get paid. You just got to keep your head about yourself, right? You don't need the flat screen TV. You don't need the Mercedes. You don't need the whatever. You're going up, huh? Well, here it is. It's expansion, Jupiter. The Fool is kind of uncomfortable time, though. You're supposed to be a little uncomfortable. So the Fool and the Knight of Wands, to me, it's kind of like a just do it. Just finish the Red Bull and say, all right, I'm up. Just do it. The Page of Swords with the Knight of Wands, and then the Knight of Wands kind of come in here. This is just telling you, just take charge with this. We don't want you to be mixed and bewildered, right? You don't need the Mercedes Benz though. Could you get the 3-year-old Mazda? Could you get the 6-year-old Honda? Could you get the car that just kind of like, I can get 5 years out of this, right? Changing out of my comfort zone. Stacy, ding, ding, ding. Thanks for leading us off today. By the way, why you get great readings from me? You have great energy. And by the way, if you're like, oh, he kind of missed on that with me, I must have terrible energy. No, maybe it's timing. It's always timing. So, Stacy, I love that we're knocking it out of the park with you. I am going to get to some of the other Stacys too. You are welcome, Stacy. I appreciate you for tuning in, sticking around. Stacy Smith, I see you. Stacy Smith, Megan Smith. I think you guys are kind of all onto it. You heard it went well at the Glove, Connie. Thank you so much. You and the sun were a little bit fun. Oh, Stacy, you were the one with the scooter. Oh my gosh, thanks for showing up here too. Donna, thank you for saying it's amazing. All right. By the way, I just lost $5 to Carolyn. She's like, she goes, that shit was pretty good, buddy. I'm like, or Pauline, maybe I'll just show up in Vancouver and I'll just send you my address. Yeah, it's an interesting thing too. Oh my gosh, thank you. You guys are really pouring out here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I totally get and see where you guys are at with this, and I appreciate it. I want to get back here to Julie though, who lost her brother-in-law unexpectedly. Julie, I hope you're still here. To function. Okay, walk around in a funk yard to function. Okay. In a funk yard. Is that junkyard to function? Okay. Either way. You're in a funk. Got it. That's probably Siri. Julie, take a simple, gentle, deep breath in. Let's connect here. Let's kind of do this the right way. Let's knock it out of the park, okay? Hey, Julie, yes. Carolyn just upped her ante to $10. Buy your own hot chocolate next time. I'm just kidding. I will always buy you hot chocolate. That is my commitment to you on every level. Two of Pentacles. Let's take this a little bit slower, okay, Julie? Your brother-in-law. So I don't know if this is your brother that they're connected to, your sister, or if this is your spouse's brother. But I'm going to tell you this is very much like a soulmate connection on a very practical level. There's probably a business involved, or at least a lot of financial stuff. The Chariot is moving quickly, so he kind of said, okay, we're going to go. Hard to function. Yeah, I think so. Thank you. Let's kind of go with this. And then there's happiness here on the other side of it. By the way, nobody's joyful about passing, right? But I'm going to tell you. Oh, we got a heart attack. He's talking about it going right up his neck, and he's talking about his chest. If you can give me some validation, Julie, I'd appreciate it. But here we go. Here's the 7 of Cups. This was a lot. He was kind of a lot of things to a lot of people. He might have been like that confidant to one person, and then kind of the provider to the next, and then the best friend and the buddy and the bass player to another one. I don't know if this dude was in a band or what the deal was. I think he wanted to be in a band all the time. Had some head pain. Yeah, so you kind of get where I'm talking about this, like right up his head. Ooh. 3 of Swords right here on the Chariot. So this is a quick passing. 3 of Cups. This is being able to celebrate. Maybe he might not have had function had he made it through. Maybe he might have said, like, maybe I think what he's trying to tell you is this is the way I wanted to go. It might have been too soon, might have been too early, but I'm not going to be a burden. I'm not going to go through this the way that everybody else kind of went through. because I get the High Priestess too. I think he manufactured this a little bit. And if he kind of did this the way that he wanted to do it, there's a lot of destiny here for him that he should have done it. And I'm going to go here. I don't know if he was close to his mom, but this is kind of like I know I'm not here anymore, but I got to see my mom again, and that was my pain. Or another loved one that had passed, right? Yeah, there you go. So Julie's commenting, it was quick, devastating. My niece and sister found him. He didn't want to be a burden. I think that's the way he wanted to go. And I think he was very close to his mom. Like, yeah. Loved his mom, like cover to cover. He's telling you, I got to the other side and I went to the high priestess. I went to this ancient knowledge, this ancestral wisdom, this work within whatever it is he needed to do. I'm sorry for your loss, but this is this is the life. Ooh. Damn, this boy's making some progress. Is he like Robert, Bob, Jim? Like he's a simple name. I'm pulling the retrograde card here. And the retrograde card is Mark, okay. The retrograde card here, is he Mark James? Mark Robert, Mark Jonathan. He's not letting this go. He's also talking about I don't know if you were the one that would always have the salads, or his wife always made the salads. Mark, okay. So retrograde is about review. He's in review time. And I'm going to say that he probably passed away either 3 weeks or 3 months ago. And he's talking about, like, I can see it now. I can see what I did right. I can see what I didn't do right. He's talking about two. I don't know if this is two children or other two. He's talking about two boys. And you mentioned a daughter, but he's talking about them. Oh, there's the three. Or maybe it was just the three of them. But he's talking about it in such a way to be like, I know he's going through his George Bailey moment. He's realizing like what he did for so many people in that connection. I don't know I don't know if this is a motorcycle, bicycle. Oh, is somebody doing a ride for him or a fundraiser like a golf outing or a band? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why I'm getting all that stuff. Are they doing something similar to that like that for him there, Julie? Mm. Yeah, I just think it's pretty concrete what he's showing me. He's like, thank you so much. And I think you're planning it for the spring. It is just the three of them. He did everything for everyone, just wrote his eulogy and talked about his motorcycle. Memorial service next week. So did he pass 3 days ago? He's not letting that go. By the way, he looked at his family as in like, this is a celebration. He's looking back on them and saying, I did it right. Last Tuesday, so a week ago. And the memorial service is next week. Julie, send me a note. Send me a note. Okay. I'm not going to be the medium that butts in. There's a little bit more to this than specific to you. And he wants to make sure that the eulogy really kind of knocks it out of the park. And he just wants you to know that everything he wrote is exactly the way he wants to see it. What's the deal with the cinnamon buns? He's talking about whatever it is like out of the oven. in his roles? Like, was he like, I will take... Yeah, Julie, thank you. I'm going to let him go. He's done his work. He's trying to figure out how to be dead. He made whoopie pies. Thank you. Good night. He would make whoopie pies and like eat them by the handful. Listen, I'm no doctor, but I just diagnosed him. Right? Linda, I see you. I'm coming around. Julie. So it takes more than 3 days, as you can attest to. And I want to thank you for chiming in and sharing that with us. And by the way, when I can tell the difference between you're ready for a message and not a message. And I appreciate when you guys say, hey, I had a recent loss, or hey, I had a connection, or I'm struggling with this and that sort of thing. I don't want you guys to think like that sounds like you're being desperate or something. Spirit's going to let me know who should come in. And it's not my excuse. I'm not trying to be whatever. I'm just going to be in the moment and let those things come in that are supposed to come in. Right. By the way, I don't know if you guys are making plans for, Janine. How are you? I loved your costume, by the way. I don't know if you've made plans for New Year's Eve yet. What are you doing New Year's Eve? I am going to be doing an online special for people to be able to tune in. And we are going to be doing meditation at midnight, New Year's Eve. We are going to have this entire studio put together. We're going to have a pianist come in. I'm going to be doing various musical instruments as well. And we are going to, this is for people that don't want to go out, but want to do something a little bit different. You might not associate with getting shit-faced on New Year's Eve. And by the way, if you're there, I'm not shaming you. If it's a tradition like no other and you're like, that's the day that me and Prosecco get it on. All right, fine, whatever. It's your deal. But I work with a lot of recovering alcoholics. I work with a lot of people that are tempted by that night. I have a lot of people that have January 1 as a day of addiction or a day of clarity for them. And it might be their anniversary date. So I want to help them get to the finish line. And on that day, we're going to do what you're going to get it all from me. You're going to get a shuffle up and heal. We're going to be doing, I'm going to have a contest too. And I'm going to have a couple of mini readings that night where I'm going to bring you on screen. You got to be okay with that. And we're going to, we're going to do some readings. We're going to do some music. We're going to do, and I also have a live comedy set that I've never done. I was supposed to do a comedy thing earlier this year because coming into this year, I wanted to challenge myself in every way. Right. And I wrote a whole comedy set and I never put it anywhere. And I was supposed to do another gig. And, it's funny talking to comedy houses. They want me to be a medium when I go there. And I'm like, but I want to do comedy. They're like, show up at an open mic night. And I'm like, you're losing out on me then. Like if I show up and say, hey, I'm going to do a, comedy, maybe I should, because, I kind of freeze a little bit when the first time I do something. And I've got to kind of work it through. So maybe I should work it out, but I've got a comedy set and I'm going to roll that out. I got 15 minutes of funny. I'm going to call it the 15 minutes of funny. We're going to have bumper stuff with, where we're going to show highlights of Penny and I, and then I'm going to have, different messages and different things that we're connected with and really kind of make it a community thing and a recap for me for the year. We're going to have a couple of videos from some of the venues that I've been at, some of the live captions so you can see it if you weren't there and that sort of thing. It's, meditation at midnight is going to be a way for you to kind of do something different. It is going to be kind of a free pay-per-view kind of thing. If you want to donate to it, great. If you don't have to. I just want you there. I'm also going to be working with some other people remotely. So we're going to pump in the feed into my feed where they're doing their music stuff too. A lot of coordination. It's ambitious. It's crazy. We're about to go through a lot of crazy stuff, and I don't want to see us get through that crazy stuff and see drunk drivers get a toll number. I don't want anybody that I care about to be stuck somewhere. I'll end up sleeping here at the studio that night, which not the first time. But it's a day of atonement for me too, because it's how I'm going to reset the world's going to need a reset, and that's my job. It's not all on me. I get it, but I'm responsible for my world. And maybe my kids will be running around, being my stage hands, and that sort of go. Um, you know, so it'll be a fun tune in. It's passive enough that you just play it in the background. If you want to get immersed in it, you can do that. But even if you go into the other room and let it run and record or whatever, I would appreciate it. I really want to get viewership up. I want to help my other friends that are connected with this and everything else. Hey Linda, do you mind if I come to you now? Um, I'm sorry about this law. Oh, yeah, no kidding. I don't know the circumstances, and I'm sure we'll connect. What's 5 connected to her? 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, May. She Taurus. What's going on here? She's trying to tell me who she is, and she thinks she's like, don't you know me? Wounded warrior. This is kind of suffering. Could be married in May. The 9 of Wands is the wounded warrior. This is the one where it's kind of like battle tested. The balance here, this is her, wow. Some of her choices to go, some of her choices to stay were about balance. It was also about kind of the money at hand. I'm going to keep going with this. They're telling me go more. By the way, guys, this is how I work through grief. I work with tarot. So this is, and you know what? I'm not doing a willy here, but it came out upside down. Wounded warrior trying to get back into balance, release of pain. Ace of Wands, she's talking about doing something for this. There's that Knight of Swords again coming in, going, how you doing? And this is about the Taskmaster. This is also, I don't know where she was in her faith, but this is the Jesus card. She's trying to show you that there was pain, there was relegation, there was an imbalance. She wanted to be balanced. She let it go. That's what happens when she passed. The Ace of Wands comes out, like she's sure of herself. She wants to be protected. She wants to be in charge. There's also father energy with the aces. The Knight of Swords comes in as in like, hey, I'm ready to do something new. And then here comes the Carpenter card, the 8 of coins, the 8 of pentacles, right? Wow. Did she like Snoopy? I think she did. This is about somebody taking care of her. She's acknowledging the person that took care of her, the Knight of Cups. This is kind of an unmitigated, unrequested love of like, hey, here you go. Can you say your niece's first name? 3 of Wands. She knew she needed to go to kind of levy it up. And then the Empress. She was actually beautiful in her passing. She's talking about somebody. She said, "You were there." She said there were 4 people there. She's talking about 4 people. She's talking about 2 in the room. She's talking about 2 in the room and then 2 not in the room when she passed. I don't know if you can give me validation for that. Does this make sense to you? She's saying there were 2 in the room and 2 not in the room. Right. I don't know what this means. And she's talking about, did her husband take care of her? Did her significant other take care of her? Because they're not letting that go. Okay. Three of Pentacles on the Ace of on the Ace of Wands. This actually talks a little bit about this kind of went according to plan. I don't know if this was also maybe a DNR being signed, maybe people being in charge going, hey, let's go in a different direction. Ace of Wands again. Is her father in passing? She was a fighter. These are fighter symbols. Right? Three of Cups. I get two very somewhat religious cards right here at the end of this. Yeah, she's hanging out with her dad. The carpenter is also the hard worker, the one that did the work. And then the Three of Cups, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, if you want to go there. She's talking about fighting all the time. Did she have cancer? Because she's talking about this like she's talking about this like huh. She's saying you don't never remember me. And she's laughing. And I saw her this year. I saw her like not long ago. And she's laughing because she's like, it was always about me and my dad. Everything he said to me was about my dad. Like I think every time she came to me about her readings, it was about her dad. Yeah. I know exactly who she is. Because she's also talking about, she said the one thing that I would get when I see her at Sacandaga Brewery. No, I don't think he was a good person, but I'll tell you, there's forgiveness in them there hills. Did I see her in Sacandaga? Watervliet. The fourth house, house of the family, house of the home. Yeah. As much as I will always advocate for bereavement, I don't have that luxury. She's been to the shop. Yeah, I know exactly who Chrissy is. Sorry to hear that she passed. I didn't know. Yeah. She's literally saying, "I'm going home." So I think she had a deep faith, even though she didn't necessarily push it on people. She kind of did a mind your own damn business kind of thing. And she went home. And by the way, I don't know if Dad needed forgiveness, but I think she was there to do that. I also think things turned really quick. And I think that she realized that the only way out was to go through it. And that's why she did it. Boy, balls. Yeah, Linda, thank you for giving me a heads up. I appreciate you. Spirit, your niece, they were all over this. I'm okay. You just sent me messages, private messages, like, yeah, that's what she's showing. She has enough faith in him. And thank you guys for checking in on me. I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to get a few more of these done. Thank you, Linda. It was good to see you. To the family, I said hi. Kind of go from there. Didn't we have some other Stacy's here? I think we did. I think we did. Where are you? There we go. I'm just gonna pick this one here. The scene was awesome. Thank you so much. Boy, that'll get you a card pull at 111 in this. All right, Stacey, let's see where we're going here. Oh, abundance. Lots of love here. 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, we don't care, just hand me your money. Is this a hookup or what? This could be your life. Stacey, winner, chicken dinner. This is about abundance. This is about you saying, I'm going to love you, but kind of put on your big boy pants before I do it. And then the King of Wands. Well, the King of Wands, this is a little bit of lizard here, a little lizard action going on right down here in the bottom right. This is about you becoming not rich with time. Notice how the two of these are looking at each other. Who do you think would win in a battle royale? You really got it all, don't you? Stace. 10 of Pentacles, 6 of Cups. This is happy home. This is happy children. Holy Toledo. Wheel of Fortune. So sometimes you got to have the tough energy. This is matriarch energy too, by the way. Right? So it kind of had a little bit of a, Lizard King wins. I love that. Dominica. Hey, Dom. Right? There's like 3 of them. I just found them all. It's all good. It's like you turn over a rock and you find 3 Stacys. I don't know. So let's finish strong here with the King of Wands. Oh, yeah, the Magician. You kind of sort of have a near perfect life. You know how you have a near perfect life? Because you've worked hard for it. You get out there. This is in calculating the work that you do, the job that you have. You might not have had the most glamorous job. You might not have the best whatever. But you had a vision. You had a goal. You kind of put it together, right? Right? And then you started to gravitate towards like, you know what? I can't be all like lovey-dovey about this. We got to be practical. You're the practical one. You're the earth sign. You're the Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. You're the one that's kind of like you're not going to like this, but I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. Here you go. And then you have this expansion energy. The Magician shows up. By the way, don't you love that they made him a musician? And you had here the shovel, the pentacle, the bat. What are we missing here? Oh, and the cup. It's right on the thing. I'm like, where's the cup? It was like, remember those magazines that you would get when you were a kid and it would be the search things? Gosh, what was that? I remember I got it for one of the kids years ago. Yeah, that's a thing, right? Wow, you're knocking it out of the park. But congratulations to all of your awesomeness, because here comes the sun. My regards, George Harrison. I cannot give a better reading. I will tell you the Wheel of Fortune is a little bit kind of like you might be stuck with some things. Like you might be kind of like, but in the scheme of things, you're like, this is kind of pretty good. I couldn't have necessarily go there without being who it is that I've been. Right? Highlights. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, when I was a kid, that's what my mom found under my mattress. So what you're saying is that I should be a politician. Yes, Paula, thank you. And MJ, thank you so much. Stacy, thanks so much for being part of the journey here. Congratulations on a pretty awesome and somewhat stable life. Kathy, hang in there. I want to get to my other Stacy here. I appreciate you too. Thank you for the well wishes there. And then we had Stacy here. The sound was a little bit off, but I'm the need. I was with the scooter. Hey, Stacy, how are you? And look at you. Is that a picture with you and Ghost? Stacy? Oh my gosh. Are you with Papa Emeritus there? 4? By the way, I'm going to post it again about the signs from loved ones. I'm seeing you guys jump on there. Do jump on. Get involved with that for sure. Stacy, we have to have a conversation. Are you a Ghost fan? Is that what's going on here? Oh, with Maleficent from Disney. Okay, all right. Well, I'm not going to at least have decent taste. But if you were going to go full Ghost on me, I was going to say like, no, we're going to go hang out. All right. So here you go. So you're a bit of a villain lover, are you? Right? When it's not necessarily like, I'm kind of an Ursula fan. For those poor unfortunate souls, why not give us the Justice card? Why don't we start out here? Also, Libra energy, balance, trying to find your proper decision making, and taking the good, taking the bad, take them all, and there you have Ace of Cups. After tough passing reading, we've got this Justice card. And then the Empress. Wow. So Libra energy here, we've got the Ace of Cups, which is really kind of a love and abundance card, kind of a self-love kind of thing. Like I'm going to let all of this anger go. I'm going to let all of this non-decision making stuff kind of get out of the way. And then we're gonna kind of project and predict, right? And then with the Empress card, it's like just loving yourself all the way through. So this is a lot of like finding the balance where you might have been a little bit off. By the way, in order to get to the justice and the balance, you need to look at things a different way. And then we have the Jesus card. We kind of have this, maybe this is a deeper faith card. Maybe this is kind of like a growing to fruition, right? It's putting in the hard work to be able to kind of love everybody. It's a challenge. And then you have the 4 of Pentacles. You might still be a little bit worried about like letting stuff go. But once you've obtained this, positioning means everything, right? So once the Empress card comes out here with the 4 of Pentacles, this is about you never letting go of your feminine divine energy. How about that one? Here we go. Yeah. So this is the Pallas Athena card. This is about thinking. This is about you. By the way, the Justice card is an air card. It's an air sign card. It's Libra. The Hangman is also very much about an intuitive kind of perspective. Like you don't always think to look at things upside down, right? And that's kind of the dynamic stuff that you're kind of going through. You're thinking about it. So this is about strategy. This is also about how you think to yourself or think about yourself. Wow, that's pretty solid, actually. That's kind of fun. Listen, thanks so much for coming. Thank you for identifying yourself there. That's kind of a double whammy. I'm going to go here. There's a lot of words here. I'm going to read it out loud. My husband is having visits from his dead dream. It happens to me from time to time, and it happens to him. I also have disturbing dreams about my niece alive. It could mean a loss is coming. Nope, we don't predict that stuff. But Allison, I'm here to help. So here's the part of it that I'm going to go here with this. Whenever spirit, and by the way, sign up for the Signs from Loved Ones class. I actually explain this quite a bit. Whenever you get like a disturbing thing, whether it's bumps in the night or whether it's kind of like why is she missing in my dream, or why is she, why are there things that are kind of happening to me in the dream or to the person around me? Well, here's the deal. Spirit is working in a way to make sure that you act, react, or all of that other good stuff in a way that they get your attention, right? They want to get your attention. So if you're, taking the dad dream out of this, dad dream, I'm assuming in passing, I'm seeing in passing, your niece being alive, you're telling me that might be something to pay attention to for her. In other words, she might be in a position where her relationship with you is strained. Okay. So maybe this is your wake up call to kind of start to say, like, hey, why don't we start to have a different relationship with her? All right, here we go. What's going on here in the dreams? What's going on here in the anxiety? So first of all, we get the ten of swords here. This is an anxiety card. This is something where you've got to pay attention to being your own worst enemy. If this is about a relationship with your niece, then you are the one that should be picking up the phone, right? Then you have the 9 of cups. It could be good. You might think it's good, but let's make sure it's good. And then you've got the practically perfect in every way 9 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles is the Mary Poppins cards, right? So how do we answer to this? Yeah, we've got the 8 of Cups. You feel like you're missing something. The 8 of Cups is actually a lost card. It's actually a Piscean lost card. It's actually the February timeframe of Pisces, and it's that you've maybe lost an opportunity. You've lost a chance. You have to kind of journey and search for something. So having this paired with the 10 of Swords is like your loss feels like you really missed out. And I'm betting to guess that if you're having dreams connected with her as well, that there is a connection to the dad for you to be like, okay, this is a profound loss. We're kind of looking for this somewhere, right? Oh, and then we have the 4 of Cups along with this. You might be hesitant because you might feel like you are missing things out in this, right? It's her grandfather got it. So maybe there's a connection here to be like, maybe the good times are gone. Maybe we don't have that stuff anymore. Maybe it's your job to create it, because this card right here is the savior of the deck. Practically perfect in every way. By the way, this is the family that's broken, but we still get together and love each other. This is the workplace environment where you're like, you know what? My boss is horrible. We do horrible things to the community, but I really like the person I work with, and I got a bestie out of it. Or at least I make enough money to make it worthwhile. Then you come in with the Ace of Pentacles. Well, the Ace of Pentacles, talking to this, is kind of, 1 + 9 is 10. 10 of Pentacles. There's abundance here. My advice connected to this is you've got to be able to connect your own dots here, right? I can't stand her mom. Well, then, you want a relationship with her. Our family's great. The solar calm. Clarify. Here's the advice from the universe saying, hey, you might not get it 100% right, Allison, but guess what? You can get it mostly right. So growing up, I had family members, some that talked to each other and some that didn't. And what you think I was leaving? By the way, you want to see how I shuffle these afterwards? You ready? You want to see an expert move? By the way, I have nothing but these cards left in it, huh? How am I doing? Because I'm going to do something fun here at the end, and I want to make sure that I have those cards intact. I'm not too worried about the Snoopy deck. The Snoopy deck, I can keep going with it, right? So I'm going to do one more reading, and then I'm going to do some more shuffle up here, and then I'm going to talk about the election and where it's going, right? And we can text. Okay, she lost her older brother and is sad. Okay. So Allison, it sounds like you got a lot of reasons to connect with her, right? And we all have these. I grew up in a family where certain family members were allowed, and then it ended, and you couldn't talk to the cousins, and you couldn't whatever. Shut up. As adults, we have to understand are some of the most cousins and aunts and uncles are some of the most important connections you can have in your family dynamics. Yes, your grandparents, yes, your parents, yes, your siblings, but those cousins, you can get away with a lot, right? And when I say get away with a lot, I mean you can really kind of connect the dots and find kinships, and it's the way that you learn. And it's funny, I was teaching astrology last night, and by the way, the email is coming, everybody. I was just about done. Um, there's a component of that relationship of the third house that's siblings. Well, I need to include cousins in that because it's about your root and it's about your connection. And they sometimes, if they do it right, it's where you work out your conflicts. It's where you whatever. And having been out in Minnesota and seeing my cousins who, I don't agree with most of their political convictions. I think it's mean spirited and whatever horse hockey they want to do. By the way, they're not going to listen this far, so I'm not insulting anybody. Um, I'll just be the snowflake bitch that adopts families and accepts their gay siblings. But we're kind of at a juncture where cousins become your family, right? And then if you get denied that during some formative years, you miss out on it, or you miss their influence, or you miss their friendships. Parents that break up families like that really need to be called out because energetically it hurts them. So, Allison, I'm also reading into this a little bit. Don't be the problem. Make sure you get through that. Make sure you facilitate that through. That was part of what that reading was, right? So let's do it right and do it better. That's all. This isn't a scolding. It's kind of like a just own your part and work through it. And it sounds like you want to. So that's the good thing. All right. Yes, they are besties, aren't they? Aren't they? It's the way that we work, isn't it, people? We work for the greater betterment for everybody. And by the way, the more that you work with spirit, the better it gets, right? And it's kind of a conversation with yourself about like where your standards are, where your morals are, what you want to do. And by the way, we all screw up. I never say that in a vacuum. Yeah, Warwin. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm sorry about your cousin's passing, but it's funny. Listen, my cousins, I always say to them, I have cousins from Minnesota, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about going to New York City." And I'm like, "Okay, tell me when. I'll take the 3-hour drive to have lunch with you." That matters to me. That matters to me. I have been planning. I want to let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to the other side of the country. We'll just leave it at that because I have a tendency of talking about it and then it doesn't come through. I don't want to do that. But I have an option to fly through Minneapolis. Well, I'm going to fly through Minneapolis. I'm going to leave on a plane at sometime in the morning on a Tuesday, and then I'm going to fly out the next Wednesday morning, the following day, so I can have lunch with them, so I can have dinner with them. Like that's the kind of relationship I want to have. I don't have a ton of time, but I'm going to make time. And I think that's a key thing. And I have some other, cousins that are here in the Northeast. I don't see them nearly enough. Hell, I don't even see my sister half as much as I should. But if you knew my sister. Anyway, so where are we going to go with this? I appreciate you too. Hey, Megan. Hey, this one's coming to you just because you lifted everybody else up. And then I'm going to do a little bit of shuffle up here. Megan, are you going to stick around? Megan, are you leaving us? Because the Three of Wands comes out because you're weighing your options with where you want to go in life. You're thinking about, I'm going to take my experience of what I've done. I'm going to take my current knowledge and I'm going to take my situation of where I've been. 3 to the 4. Listen, I've dropped these cards. They've been scattered across the floor. There's no way these two things are coming here. But maybe you're looking to kind of change. Maybe you're kind of looking for that happiness ever after. Well, I'll tell you, when you meet them, it'll be about destiny. The World card comes out as fixed energy. And by the way, I'm going to talk about the cardinal energy here in a second when I do this reading. About the election and where the United States is going. Stay tuned. But the World card shows us Aquarian, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus in the four corners here. Those are the fixed signs, and that is kind of like a destiny. That's kind of like a hard formed thing. It also represents the fact that our Earth, being the world, is the conceptual like foundation for how we're living in our spiritual sense. This is where we're playing out the great comedy, right? By the way, you take the good, take the bad, take them all, and there you have, Megan, the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is kind of saying, like, all right, it hasn't gone exactly the way I wanted it to. Been a little crappy at times. Been a little ouchy. By the way, with the long hair, sometimes like a hair will like stick down and I'll think there's somebody walking by. So these are about the changes you want to make, right? Here comes the sun. Maybe look for a Leo. The sun is representative of Leo energy, strength energy. By the way, isn't there a little Leo right here? By the way, are you by chance a Taurus, an Aquarian, or a Scorpio? Just wondering, Megan. Chime in anywhere you want, right? There we go. And there she is again, practically perfect in every way. Here comes the sun. Megan, don't you see this? Your Aquarius is right here. Aquarius, Leo, marriage card. Are you together with somebody right now? What would it take me to get you into a Leo that is going to worship you as the practically perfect princess you want to be? No. Well, then here it comes. Duck and cover. Listen, choose your energy wisely. And I don't care what your make and model is. I don't care what your plumbing and attraction is. When you fall in love with somebody, when you fall in love with a person's energy, you have sustainability. Reason being is because that then becomes like the battery. By the way, I had to replace my battery today, right? And what it does is it creates this kind of like, if it stays static and you're like, oh, we're just opposites, I'm going to stay over here, whatever. But then when you interact, you create energy. You create energy in your makeup. You create energy in your connection. You create confidence in, they can create confidence in you. They might also tell you the brutal truth and be like, that's not really the way to go, right? It could actually be your own thing here. Oh my God, here we go. So I'm going to give you some creative tension here. This is square. And by the way, this isn't square energy. This is actually opposition energy. But it's not, everybody thinks opposition needs to be bad. Like, say, Leo and Aquarius, like Scorpio and Taurus, right? Like Libra and Aries, like Pisces and Virgo. You don't need tension to create a spark. You need a connection that when you do dance, it creates magic. That's where you got to be in all of this. And to have this tension-ish thing come in for you, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, Connie, we'll connect soon, huh? Right? Awesome card for you, by the way. Because I think you need I think you got to be challenged. I think you might have maybe had some situations that weren't necessarily challenging to you. By the way, I'm shuffling this up. And Megan, I hope that resonates with you. And I hope you don't feel like you're alone. And by the way, if anybody ever feels alone and you think this is it, it's not. Wait a little while and allow the astrology to change. Allow those moments to kind of wash over you and be different. Oh, maybe we'll see that one again. Because when people pass away by their own choice, from the decisions that they make, sometimes intentional, sometimes just dangerous. First of all, they always show me, oh shit, I didn't mean it. Too much. Too much. Too much to prove a point. Right? And if you wait a little while, the astrology changes. And therefore, that really shitbag feeling that you have is probably going to go away. It's probably going to change. It's going to ease up. I recently spoke to somebody who's a 911 dispatcher. And I said, what's your number one calls right now? And I was thinking, are they going to say something about like, domestic violence, racially motivated things, transgender issues? Nope. Their number one phone call has been suicidal people. How are you, little buddy? Go away. Can you imagine that being a dispatcher and being like, okay, this is the button for police, this is the one for paramedic, this is the one for fire, and this is the one that you have to get good at, which is talking people off a ledge. And by the way, there's 4 more phone calls behind it. Because we moved foolishly to a centralized system that saved us a whole bunch of money. Because one politician needed to save money because they weren't actually a good politician, but they were a good administrator and they were able to get a lot of money, cut off the bottom line because they were able to centralize things. But now they have 2 people answering phone calls for a whole bunch of people that are 3 counties deep and so forth and so on. By the way, I want you to weigh in right now. Tell me. I'm a challenge. I need someone that's able to deal with it. Yeah, you know what, Megan? It means you have high standards, girl. Go get it. I want you guys to chime in right now. 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to divide these piles up, and you will decide the fate of the country. Pile number 1. Pile number 2's. Piles number 3's. So go ahead, chime in. Oh, Stacy. 2. We got it. Do I see a 2? We see a 2. We see a 2. Do we have any more 2s? Do we have any more 3s? Do we have a single 1? Who's the first one? Who's the first one to say 1? Who's the first one to say 1? We see another 2 and you see another 3. We see another 3. We see another. Do we see number 1? Do we see number 1? Nope. We see number 2. We see number 2. We see another 3. Do we see any 1s? Do we see any 1s? Do we see any 1s? Yes, Donna comes in with a 1. Thank you very much. You've already lost. We see a 3. We see it through. We see it through. We see a 2. We see it through. We see, I'm an excellent auctioneer. Do I see number 2? Do I see 2? I think 2's kind of a little bit ahead. I think 2's kind of pulling through. Last chance for a vote. And it's... I didn't freeze, don't worry. 2 by a hair. All right, let's take a look at the bottom one of this. Had you chosen this one, we would have become a Christian nation. Careful. If we'd chosen number 1, we would have had severe self-pain and heartache. But number 3. And by the way, I'm going to let you know, we're going to talk about the conditions coming up to it in row number 1. And row number 2, we're going to talk about the actual election, and then we're going to talk about the final outcome. I am going to pull astrological cards with this. I'm going to skip the Snoopy deck here. Are you guys ready for some election prediction through tarot? Because right out of the gate, I'm going to give you change. We're going to have massive change going on in this country. Cannot, will not, will never make this up. Then we have the Knight of Swords. We've got some hero syndrome going on here, right? We've got a hero complex going on. Like, I'll save the ballots. And by the way, as predicted by Penny and several others, we might not even have 2 candidates come election day. Because when the 7 of Pentacles comes out, it's a lot of work, but not a lot of fruition. Notice how he's not picking what's growing. He's just continuously growing. So maybe these are ideas that are coming in. And here's a word from the cardinal cross that's coming up, right? So you have the 4 elements of, you have the elements, which are earth, air, fire, water, right? Which represents the water, fire, pentacle signs, right? Earth signs. You also have the element of cardinal, of fixed, and of mutable, right? So this cardinal cross that's actually appearing on Friday is, I think it starts on Friday and it goes through election day for sure, is about an initiation of a new direction. I'm loving this spread. So here's our problem. We talk about change. We talk a great deal about change. And then we get all cavalier about it, like, da, 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 I will save you. And then we don't do a fucking thing about it. We just talk about the problem. By the way, one of my 5 things that this country needs in order to change, number 1, we have to get obsessed with solutions instead of problems. That's what we're coming into. Page of Wands. Also a new idea. A new projection, if you will. Does this indicate the new candidate coming through? Well, somebody's taking charge here. BDE coming in. I don't know. The Republican candidate all of a sudden is kind of like, yeah. He can't help it. That's why he's always got a breath mint. Five of Swords. Stolen election. At a minimum, it's going to be mishap that not everything gets counted. The chills I just felt. Don't worry, guys. True thing, Janine. So this does favor the new candidate because it starts with the Page of Wands. By the way, the pages are feminine. Did you guys know that? A lot of people don't know that. But they couldn't say girl because that would be objectifying. So instead, they put a gay man in tarot. Just to let you know, tarot works with gay men. They also work for gay men, and you have to understand gay men in order to be able to read it. My training doesn't matter to you. Anyways, the Ace of Wands is kind of like it's a firestorm. There's going to be a gunfight. There's going to be somebody trying to take charge. There's going to be kind of an actionable thing, a very definitive kind of what have you. But here comes the mud. What's going to come out of this? It's a fucking chef's kiss. Ace of Swords. Choke on that. Choke on that, DC. You will be held accountable for the crimes you have committed. And we will use all of the tools that we have. The cardinal energy is the initiator. The cardinal energy comes in and says, we've done an okay job, but let's go. It's not right. We haven't gotten it right yet. So the cardinal energy sits there and goes, we need to change. We need to direct ourselves in a different way. The Knight of Swords is kind of like, it's the Dudley Do-Right. Maid Marian, I will protect you at all costs. But let's be honest, we've been spinning our wheels. We're growing stuff, but we ain't picking it. We ain't using it. They're not ingredients. They're just things that make it look good. The Page of Wands comes in, the rookie, the senator. I've only got so many years experience, but guess what? She's 60. She's done it enough. Expertise comes in. Are we going to lose some things in this balloting? Yeah, we will. Is it going to go to May? Could be. Could take some time. What's going to come out of this? A new way of thinking. This don't work no more. Or as my English friends say, this doesn't work any longer. The justice card comes out to say, like, we're going to actually go with the intention of what the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and not do this skullduggery of did that Chad count or not count? And then the magician comes out. The magician is, in all things considered, the blessing of where it is that we need to go. Right? It's the idea that we have to use all of these tools because, again, back on the mutable, the fixed, and the cardinal. The cardinal energy is coming and going. We have to change this. The fixed energy is this is the way we always did it. We're full of shit and corruption, guys. We're full of it. That's literally what these two lines are saying. Right? I want to change. I want to change, Rudy. And then we're like, I'm going to do it. And then nobody does anything about it. Then we have an election. We have a new candidate. We've got a prick candidate. And then we're like, yeah, but did they mean to vote with that? Did my chat go all the way through? What? I'm sorry. Didn't they? Can't you see that that's the only mark on the ballot? And you should just say it's that one. Technically, according to Rule 1742, we have this thing that says it must pierce it through with the intention to vote and be understood so that then it goes all the way through and sunlight should be seen through it. Oh, yeah. Good call. Good call. Then you have the mutable energy that comes through that says, and by the way, mutable energy always looks at what the cardinal initiated, the fixed tried to do it with the tools and say, we have to remember tradition. We have to remember that we've been there before. I have to remember not to lean on my table. And then the mutable energy says, we're going to find solutions. We're not stuck in the past, and we're not so committed to the future that we're going to forsake where we've been. So the mutable energy is going to save us, guys. Golden Light Tarot, Trish mentioned that there are 3 ones on this, and I'm going to go a step further. 1, 11, 1. Didn't somebody say 111 right there, Stacy Riv? 111 portal. So we've got air sign, new way of thinking, new logical solution, Libra energy, and then the magician, the ace in the hole. Guys, I can't make this stuff up. You chose this pile. Bunch of rock stars. Right? All right, let's see what the astrology says here. Of course. Rebirth. Right there in the first line. Pluto comes in. Didn't we just go through another painful retrograde? A painful retrograde through Capricorn? And we're about to go into the age of Aquarius? Hello? This is no longer about selfish energy and what people think of you. It's about actually doing the right thing. It's not about having your picture taken while you hand the blanket off to the homeless person so you can watch them eat it. The vision, Neptune, it's also illusion. This election is an illusion that is meant to help us face our truth. Yeah, I know we got the eclipse coming too. Hey, Diane, how are you? Magical Mermaid, so glad you're here. Let's see if the eclipse card comes up. And now I'm going to give you your future in the North Node. I believe in this country as a living, breathing organism that screws things up. Think about it. This country has a lot of great ideas. We have a lot of leadership bravado sometimes, but it's led us to free people in Europe. It's led us to be able to stand up for, I mean, we've only been in 2 good wars. And when I say good wars, good reasons for wars. Vietnam was a complete scam. Honduras, even the fight on terrorism is completely fabricated. That's just somebody spiritually that stood at ground zero and said, this is a crime scene. This isn't an act of This isn't an act of religious zealotism. It's a crime scene. And although we might not like the idea that we have become the policemen of the world, we were ready to accept the idea that if we were going to do it, we found more strength in like-minded people and we're able to get there. By the way, justice, later Lady Liberty, right there in the future of it. Is it modeled after Greek god of Lucifer? Maybe. But Lucifer's a light bearer, and quite frankly, kind of got a bad rap all through the Bible. What is wrong? What is so evil about bringing light onto things? Think about the symbolism of that. Lucifer means light bringer. So anytime, and by the way, I guarantee you will hear the rhetoric about the devil coming back and an antichrist. You're going to hear amped up. This is why we're headed towards this. They're trying to demonize the idea that we would have a justice system that would be able to work through it. Can't make these cards up, guys. Can't do it. Yeah, and Trish, he is a Libra. Is America a female? I have a video that I'm planning on doing. I have to put some finishing touches on it, but it is about our Uranus return as a country. Right? This is about vibrating on another level. This is about taking it to another expansion of ourselves and actually doing the things. Is this culture going to survive? Let's cut to the chase. The Roman Empire fell. The Ottoman Empire fell. Like all of these empires fell because they were based in fear-mongering and conquering. Can we base it on love? Can we base it on the idea that our connective tissue is much more about being alike? By the way, my kids have different color skin than I do. They got 10 fingers and 10 toes, and it's my job to teach them right from wrong. That doesn't matter about their skin color. Doesn't even matter about their origin story. I have countless relatives that are in an LGBTQ plus community or highly empathize with it because they have children that are attached to it or spouses that are attached to it. Read into that one as much as you want. And can't we just look at it as an absolute of love? We've got to rejuvenate. My battery died today. I have a newer car. And newer meaning it's 4 years old, bought it used. I would never buy a new car. A new car doesn't align with my mission. But a car that runs well for the next 5 to 8 years does. That's what I bought. My battery slowly died. So I had to get a new one. Is the car bad? Should I throw out the whole car? Nope. I just need to get a new battery. This country needs a new battery. This country needs to have a tune-up. That's where the mutable energy is able to say, like, this ain't all. We don't need to throw out the baby and the bathwater. We need to tune this in such a way that we keep the parts that made us great and fine-tune the parts that can make us run better. When I come out with this video, I'm going to come out with this on Friday because they told me November 1st on the new moon. I'm sorry if you want your astrologer and tarot reader and medium to kind of just be like, everything's love and light, my head's in the sand. There's 40 other like freaking channels out there, right? I'm giving you the real because I think you're able to handle it. Do you know why we don't have full disclosure to why did it take 50 years for us to find out what happened with JFK? Oh, we don't want to know that there's maybe people working against us. We want to kind of keep it secret. Why haven't we found out all the details about 9/11 yet? 3 freaking buildings fell without actually that have never happened before. How many buildings have fallen since 9/11 because a plane crashed into them or they had a fire? The answer is 0. And by the way, before 9/11, also 0. Nobody's really kind of explained that. And they're just like, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm asking a really good fucking question, is what I'm doing. And you don't want to answer the question. This spread makes you answer the question. It makes you say, oh, so we didn't really have a free election? By the way, you still need to vote. Because if not, we don't have an argument that they're full of shit. Why else would somebody have a rally a la 1938 in Madison Square Garden in a state that he has already freaking lost? Because that's not what it's about. It's about the chaos he can create. Because he doesn't actually have a platform. He doesn't actually say anything. And Joe Rogan let him get away with near murder in that interview. He called him out a couple of times, but he's exhausting. So I give a fair nugget to Rogan for having him and great score, buddy, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to be blunt here. Rogan didn't hold him to the fire. Right? Him and his friend Elon Musk, like they fell off the planet for me with this one. I always gave Joe Rogan the benefit of the doubt. I really did. I watched probably about an hour and a half of that interview. And I just watched Trump dodge and he asked decent questions. He's like, so did you actually have advanced knowledge of what was going to go on with that? Well, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell them that they're innocent people and they're going to be freed when I'm elected. Not the question, dude. That's where this bullshit comes in. Guess what? Justice served. We got to have hope that the process is going to lead us there. Have you ever been in a tough relationship and thought to yourself, I got to bail? By the way, I'm totally going to make a cut of that and make sure you guys see that over and over again. How great is this? Yeah, I'm going to go like this. Ooh, that's pretty, isn't it? Bum-ba-da-don. Anyways. Yeah, Joe's an enabler. Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, listen, we have flaws. But have you ever been in a relationship where you're like, I don't like that one thing about them, so I'm going to cut them out? No, you assimilate it and you're like, and you might choose to say something or not say something. Hey, listen, I noticed that I'm always giving you advice and you're never taking it or applying it. So I'm not going to give you advice anymore. You manage it, you tailor it. The United States and its government needs to kind of hear what we have to say because we're like, you sold us a bill of goods and we haven't seen it yet. Democrats or Republicans, we have not seen it yet. We have not seen the legitimate nature of our country function the way that we talk about it. You know, you can get into things like PACs, you can get into some things like secret money, you can get into things like shadow governments and all this other shit. You can talk about it until the end of time, but if you're going to keep going back to that 8 of pentacles and just growing ideas and never really plucking them and putting them into place, we got another thing coming. Because we won't have a country. We won't be in existence. And by the way, I think that the Trump supporters are giving us an equal push. And when I say us, I mean the people that don't hate. Boy, that's a soundbite. And I think they're very necessary. And I think we need to start treating them with kindness because they don't know what kindness is. They're hurt on a deep, deep level. And that's what's coming out right now. I was not hugged as a child, and therefore I'm going to like the rapist because I think he got the fair, he didn't get a fair shake. Magical Mermaid hit something on the head here, too. This is all a distraction against the foreign and domestic financial markets. You may wake up completely broke on January or on November 6th. Have cash on hand, please. Go make a withdrawal here, or make a couple of withdrawals here over the next couple of days. I am not trying to fearmonger. I'm just going to say you'll say thank you later. There will be a serious disruption to our financial services and marketplaces. Will that mean the value? I don't know. At a minimum, though, it's going to be access, because I think there's going to be a run on Wall Street, and they're going to panic in such a way that they're going to go like, holy crap, we can't do this. Because of fear, because of fear mongering, because they don't have a platform, because they're not actually good people. They're not actually trying to help us. They're trying to point out how much you hate. They're shedding the light on the haters. And guess what? I understand you've struggled. I understand that you've had this combination of disappointment in the things that you thought you could rely on. And by the way, it starts small. It starts in ways that we never really kind of looked at. What I'm about to say is going to rip right through you. It all started when they told you Santa wasn't real. You went through your entire childhood thinking this man in an oversized coat is going to come here and give us presents. And then you started to learn that people are going to lie to you to get you to do what it is that they want to do. And we were suckers. I'll be good. Santa has a list. He knows when if you've been naughty or nice. You have this thin veil of, well, even if you do it, even if mom doesn't catch you, right? And then what did you learn from learning that Santa Claus wasn't real? And you started to learn who was behind it. Why would your parents lie to you? And then you realize how much work they did to put up the front to make sure you always had a good Christmas. And some might have been better than others. But I don't know about you, but my mother would rob Peter to pay Paul to make sure that we all had an equal number of gifts under the tree. And I will forever be grateful for that, because my dad worked his fingers to the bone for that. And my mom directed it and managed it. Could she have done it differently? Maybe. Could my dad have done different things? Yeah, possibly. So let's talk about the reality of what Santa Claus taught us. It taught us that our parents loved us beyond words. So I'm not talking to the Jehovah's Witnesses right now. I'm not talking to the Jewish people. I got it. I understand. But we'll find then, I'll put this in Jehovah's Witness words. The Jesus that they told you about isn't the one of reality. Because you're not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. You wouldn't be watching me now. Okay, some of you have other problems about Santa Claus. But as a whole, in the broad brush stroke of Santa, lets us realize that sometimes the lies are cloaked in, well, this is what's good for you. Right? Right? And then we get into things of like the government. And then we lose, we have this faith that, firemen are going to be, are always going to be there to protect our house from fire. So we sleep a little better at night. We think that the police are going to come and help us because they're here to help. And then all of a sudden we learn that there's like a scandal in the fire department for whatever reason, whatever that sounds like. And then we learn that police are actually very kind of, they really matter. It really matters to them what color skin you have or whatever bias it is that they bring into it. Right? And then we lose a little bit more of ourselves because, we find out that the fire department isn't fully manned and they sleep through their shifts, and, they were, whatever, there's inappropriate stuff going on, and therefore they're not always on the ready. And then we find out that the police are incredibly biased, and then they are human. And by the way, all these things are human, right? Our parents gave in and succumbed to the pressure of making sure we understood Santa Claus because they wanted you to be just like all the other kids, right? We wanted to make sure that we had these things in place because every community should feel safe. It was a standard in the United States to have these things. I grew up on Chips and Squad 51, man. Squad 51 come in. Rampart, 220 and ringers. 38-year-old white male, possible myocardial infarction, starting CPR, prepare for transport. I love that shit. And then you started to realize that politicians might be crooked. And then you started to realize that it could be everything from like, drop pants scandals to, extortion and whatever. And then the whole list of all the other things come in, from Monica's blue dress to getting paid by contractors of a war that you just started, to a contractor that did the streets and the mayor got a couple of bucks out of it too. Maybe a council member or maybe a whatever. And by the way, those stories are all over the country, all over the United States. In order for this free market, libertarian, justice, democracy to work, you're going to have to be honest. You're going to have to do your part, whatever your role is. You're going to need to be able to think for yourself and at the same time not be looking out for yourself. Maybe the idea of the United States is a perfect idea. Maybe it's just ahead of its time. Maybe it's truly sizing up for the last great lesson as we go into the age of Aquarius. And when Pluto goes into Aquarius, I think it's on the 11th. Is it 11/11 or 1/11? Trish, I don't know if you have that or not. Yes, thank you for getting the emergency reference. But it goes into Aquarius, and guess what? We're going to go barreling into the age of Aquarius from there, because we start from the back and move towards the front. Pluto is a planet. Let us not be guided by fear. Let us be guided by love. Let us not be guided by what we're going to lose, but rather how we're going to change afterwards. Let us be guided by the idea that we actually have a really good idea. We're just doing it the wrong way. Why is it that people become politicians? Well, because there's something in it for them. Oh, they make $32,000 a year as a junior senator, a junior state senator. Not when they can make $200,000 with a couple of filthy handshakes behind the scene. How do we police that? How do we guard against it? How do we tell people in power to stay in power but love one another at the same time? Here's our chance. Hug a Trump supporter between here and there. They're going to need it after. Brandon, that's impossible. Nope. Or are you full of shit? You talk a good game about love, but not with that. Well, I have boundaries. I'm sovereign. Yep. But you're full of shit. You don't actually love everybody. You judge them just like they're judging you. By proxy, we're actually part of the problem. Harsh words, right? But very real. We need to start loving one another and actually putting our money where our mouth is. Right? We need to start to become transient in the light. Right now, we just talk about it. Right now, we just kind of, me. I love light and love, and I'm going to go smudge things. The truth is, 90% of the people that are in this work or talk about this work are just spiritual bypassing to get by. Because it makes you feel better to talk about light and love than to face the fucking problems you created. Guess what, America? We have to face the problems that have been created. We have to talk to the truth of it, and we have to be okay with it. We can't look for retribution. We just have to look for truth. Right? The justice card isn't about retribution. Shamanistic justice is not about retribution. It is about what we need to get back into balance. And if that means that you need to sleep outside the hut for a month, one full moon cycle, because you need to learn and appreciate that inside the hut is warmer, you will never do that against our tribe again. That is the only punishment aside from pure extrication, which is banishment, which is you go out into your own, which happens so rarely. But you would be punished in a way to not gain the resources, your own kind of prison. That's how they issued punishment. But they loved you through it. They made sure you had enough food. They made sure you had enough blankets, right? Abraham Lincoln said a house divided cannot stand. They shot him. JFK said, be wary of secret societies, and was outspoken about the industrial military complex. And they shot him. Donald Trump staged his own assassination attempt. Yeah, I just said it. Because he wants to be great, and he doesn't know how. So he's going to fake it like an orgasm on a third date. You want to be translucent? It's an empty suit. It's a hollow soul. He stands up there and hates immigrants with his immigrant wife. He stands up there and says he loves the blacks while he literally was convicted against housing segregation. Talks about how he loves women and he will be your savior while he gropes you and assaults you. We have every right to go, are you a moron and believe this stuff? Apparently, we're in such need of heroes that we'll make one up and look past every single in-your-face flaw. The only person that can change this is you. Individually, collectively, it's about time we become the light bringer, and they will villainize us. They will tell us we are charlatans. They will tell us that we are full of shit, that we are... How far is kindness going to get you? Why do we hold the door open for others? We do it because we want to live in a world where we open the door for one another, period. Why do we give our hearts to other people in love and kindness and respect? Because we want to set the tone for that. It's up to you then to acknowledge it. It's up to you to pass it on. It's up to you to return it. I did mix Eisenhower and JFK there. Thank you. But JFK was very much about the secret societies. Are we going to elect somebody that wants to treat, that has virtually no record of anything successful in his life ever? But for some reason we praise it because this is the time. When you look at somebody's record and you literally say the 7 deadly sins, he follows the 7 deadly sins more than he follows the 10 commandments. I think Ivana Trump should be exhumed and should be examined. There, I said it. I also think that when push comes to shove, and everything gets exposed, we have to remember to still treat him with kindness. We don't have to be easy on him. There's a difference between providing comfort and making it comfortable. I'm not saying make it comfortable. We have to remember, and by the way, I'm going to be on screen next week and we're going to be talking about results. I'm going to go there. I'll give you the political. I'll do split screens. We're going to approach things in a way that are about what's going to need our love. What are the types of action plans we can pull together with? Right? There's going to be people that are full of pain and suffering on the other side of this, and it's because they woke up and they believed in Santa as far as they can, and then they're going to wake up on November 7th and be like, "Oh, there's no Santa Claus. It was a lie. Why did I buy all these presents? I'm not going to be nice to anybody. I'd be nice to you if it goes my way." There is a whole group of people that are thoroughly convinced that this election's going to get stolen, and they're going to hear, and I'll call my shot. Popular vote 60% Kamala. It's going to be, it's going to look shameful, shameful. And I'm still being conservative as 60-40. The reality is you have all of these manipulations out there. Oh, it's 50-50. I can point to 17 of the 49 polls that are announced on a regular daily basis that are controlled to someone else. $70-30? I don't know. But I think 60-40 is still conservative. We have to make this so overwhelming that then they say, oh, well, see, it's so overwhelming that it can't be believable. You're trying to tell me she had 70% of the vote? The reason being is because people are myopic. They only want to hear what they're comfortable with, right? They only want to hear, they want to talk to the 7 people at the bar going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 100% right here, dude. Right? It's called recency bias. It's not taking into account anybody else. And by the way, people that are being racist and talking about deporting people and everything else are probably only going to pay attention to the 5 people sitting in front of them that have a tank on, right? It's not them. They're stupid. And yes, I just called them stupid. I'm not calling them stupid for who they voted for. I'm saying that they didn't get there by a natural, logical conversation, right? What they did is good. You know what? Yeah, send him back. Okay, well, he wants to take away your wife and your daughter's rights. Holy Toledo. Being a free market society is actually, it leads to a lot of great things. But when it comes to elections, it's horrible. Do you know that anyone could donate as much money as they want, so long it goes into a general pool, and then that general pool is run by how it's distributed? So somebody makes the decisions to say, we're going to spend this much on Kamala, we're going to spend this much on this senator, this much in this district, this much in whatever. But Kamala did a fundraiser and there were $2 million sent in by that person. And that $2 million basically gets earmarked for Kamala. Well, I thought it was supposed to get distributed. Oh, yeah, we'll take some for other people. I use the Democrat because it's wrong, even if you're supporting that side. It's freaking wrong. Right? Because the intention isn't distributed correctly. And moreover, why do you get to charge? They just bought $2 million of influence. Now you understand why Laura Trump is now running the Republican PAC so she can distribute it to Tommy Boy. Right? We're so corrupt, guys. We're so corrupt. This free market society isn't the devil. It's actually really, it works really well when you don't have corruption. It works really well when greed doesn't set your pretzel prices. I paid $7 for a bag of pretzels. Are you kidding me? You mean to tell me that the inflationary costs are that much now? You mean to tell me that my internet bill can go up literally 90% since I moved into this space? And I get that I had like an offer and blah, 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 whatever. But it went up significantly. And listen, they went ahead and like added on services on me. And I'm like, you don't get to do that. I didn't ask for any of this. And they're like, oh, we'll just take that off. And I go, I want a refund. Sorry, we don't do that. Well, you have to go to the attorney general and then you'll have to file a complaint, and then the FCC reviews it, and then we bring it back to thing, and then if there was enough of them to be investigated, you may get a payout in 3 to 7 years. Over $40 a month? Yeah, that's how it works. We have broken systems everywhere, and people get away with shit all the time because they know how it works. Right? I had my credit card stolen again for whatever reason. And I opened up my account because I was looking for something specific. I was actually doing some accounting. And I see that there was a charge on there for Ticketmaster for $780. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I didn't buy any tickets today. I'm pretty sure I didn't buy any. So it says pending, and it literally, like, it is 4:35 in the afternoon, and it went through at 4:22. Like, I'm like 15 minutes in. I'm like, okay, let's go do this. I call my credit card. We need to put a stop payment on this. I just saw this. I didn't make this. Let's get rid of it. We have to let it go through in order to make a dispute. I'm sorry, what? I can be very crude and say something like, sometimes you got to let them finish in order to actually press charges. Like, what? So then I called Ticketmaster and I said, hey, somebody used my card and they shouldn't have, and it's pending. I'd like you to go in there and cancel it. And by the way, if it gets canceled and they still want to buy the ticket, they can still buy the ticket. And Ticketmaster says, well, I can open up a trouble ticket on this and have somebody get back to you in 3 to 6 days. Yeah, but then the charge will go through and then I'll never get my money back. Like I caught them. Like we're 26 minutes in. Like they just put it in. Can't you just kind of boop, boop, boop? Yeah, we can't do that because how do we know you didn't use the card? Because we just pulled up my account. Why would I not buy this through Ticketmaster? Why would I not buy it through the app that you provided to me? All the portals that you make me spend my money in. I didn't use any of those. Somebody swiped my card off of another website and whatever. So what's going to happen is you're going to wait for that to go through, and then they're going to take out that $800 out of your account. And then you can call us back, and then you can like start this. All you got to do is just call us back, and we'll take care of it then. I'm sorry, what? You're not really interested in catching the bad guys. You're not really interested in making sure that I don't get $800 taken out the week of my son's birthday, so that I can't. So I'm like limited in whatever it is the hell I need to do. No, you don't. You're not really protecting me. Oh, but you're going to get the money back, so you're protected. We have consumer rights. By the way, you know what happened the last time my card got banned? I get a check from the bank saying, "Thank you for your business. We no longer want it because you had your card compromised." But I didn't do anything. By the way, what are you doing to make sure that my card doesn't get stolen? Huh? We have so many broken systems that one logical pill would take care of it. Hey, Ticketmaster, I didn't use my card. We need to cancel this. You know what, Mr. Ross? We value your business more than the criminals. Thank you for being diligent. And thank you so much for overpaying for all of your tickets for the last 40 years. From White Lion to Ghost, we love your business. We've canceled that order, and we're going to hold that person accountable. We're going to roll this out to the task team because we have a beat on it, because we're able to tell where that person logged in. We're able to tell where that person hit send. We're able to report this to the authorities, and maybe they'll go knock on the door. They have the technology. We have the technology to have free and fair elections. We have all of this technology, and we don't play it right. Do you know what that is? Right fucking here. Right here and right here. This is where we're stuck. Here's the 5 of swords, everybody. I'm just going to take what's mine. Screw you. You're out. Ha ha, you'll be crying. And by the way, whenever I talk to anybody that works in financial services or markets or whatever, they all say the same thing. They're like, yeah, they'll never fix it because they actually make money on both ends of that. Oh, by the way, if you hold any Vanguard in your portfolio, you're part of the problem. Part of the reason why they won't fix it is because they want to be able to hand it to their constituents, to their shareholders, of which you are part of it because you have a retirement program and they have a fiduciary responsibility to gain as much money into that to show profit to their shareholders. You. But if I get out of that process, if I get out of that system, then I don't have a retirement program. Well, if you don't want to participate in the broken system, there's no system for you. Really? That's right. Magical Mermaid just nailed it. It becomes dark money. It becomes that hidden money of like whatever. And by the way, are there exposed things that have happened where people have stolen credit cards, bought things from that company, drove up their profits, only to find out that they were being paid by the company to steal credit cards and buy stuff? It happens over and again. Let's talk about the innovators. And by the way, we can't help it. Yeah, you're right there, Stacy. We can't help it. If you want a retirement program, you are involved with BlackRock or you are involved with all of that, right? I'm sorry I got off on a tangent, but I just went for full supernova there, didn't I? We have a choice. You still have a choice. It's time for us to be rock stars with what we do. It really is. It's time for us to be rock stars in our truth. It's time to stand there. And if you watch my reaction when Penny wanted me to be quiet about my opinion, that's all you need to know about where I'm sitting in all of this. I love Penny to death, and but I'm not going to forsake my relationship with her. We worked through it, and she knew. She was like, "Okay, B, I get it. I see you. Okay, that's all I need to hear her say." And she was like, "Okay, we're off to the races again." We have to stand in our own truth because in the age of Aquarius, that's all we got is our truth, our transparency, right? How do we make this country great again? We absolutely need to become transparent. If you have a couple of minutes, take a look at what Mark Cuban is doing to the pharmaceutical industry. In this moment, God bless Mark Cuban. And by the way, he's getting trashed by everybody. You know what he's doing? He's saying this is how much your medicine really costs. I'm going to add this much on to take care of the doctor that needs to administer it, and then I'm going to put a reasonable 10 to 14% on. So then my company makes money because I have a fiduciary responsibility to make money here. I owe it to my family, I owe it to my stockholders, I owe it to the constituents and the people in the company to keep going, and the customers as well. Dude's nailing it. Dude is nailing it. We have far more Elon Musk than we do Mark Cubans, though. We have more Jeffrey Bezoses than we do Mark Cubans. There are good profiteers, so to speak. Like, I'm just disparaging Mark Cuban for making money. He should make money. He's making an investment. It's the American way. You should be able to invest your money and make something back. Every single person on my team has a cut of my business. Daryl on the book company, on the book publishing company, owns a part of the business, and she gets a sustainable wage connected to the business. She actually keeps it. I don't take a cut of it. The graphic design person, right? The studio hand that's coming in to do the work. The artist that I work with. It's a very fair. It's fair. Your energy plus my energy equals this energy. Are you guys getting this yet? There's a new economy coming in, and kindness is a big part of it. we're seeing record numbers and blah, blah, blah. But what are those record numbers really? They're made up. I used to have an email list of 15,000 people would get my email every week, whatever I sent it out as. And then I realized I was paying for a bunch, and then, natural attrition, people change jobs, whatever, right? So I'm paying for a whole bunch of emails that are never getting sent. And I say to the email company, I said, so I have a bunch of dead accounts basically that I'm still managing. They're like, well, they unsubscribe, so we have to keep track of them. Well, can't I just take them out? Well, if you, I'm sorry, what? Like, so much of the conversation that I'm having with people, like they're not kind of getting where I'm going with it, and I'm getting off kilter a little bit. I probably shouldn't run for president, but can we start to kind of look at solutions? Can we start to look at transparency and integrity? And by the way, we can't say here's integrity. No. That's the aid. This is let's do integrity. Let's do integrity. And then we don't apply it. Putting together a pharmaceutical company that's transparent, that's this. You guys getting this yet? We can talk about integrity. I want the outcome to have integrity, right? So let's put in a process and a system that allows us to have integrity be the only way. And by the way, we don't need more laws. We don't need another damn law. Every single thing that you could possibly do to somebody else in a tort or an argument or an affliction, it's already on the books. Murder is already on the books. I don't care what your gender was. I don't care what your public affiliation was. I don't care who you're sack tickling. It shouldn't go. It's not. Murder is a hate crime. It does not matter what your clothing is. But we want to be able to say, like, so long as you had love in your heart instead of hate in your heart, murder's a little bit better. No. We're splitting hairs because we wanted to feel good for 10 minutes. Don't kill, period. But when you kill somebody that's transgender, it's worse. No. Still bad. Still bad. And by the way, it's not that I'm not empathetic to LGBTQ+. Not at all. I just don't think we need additional laws. We complicate it. We complicate it because we wanted to feel good for 20 minutes. By the way, the other side is talking about this, like, how stupid is that? And then they're like, and I will tell you, genuinely, some of them just feel like, oh, we didn't need a law for that. What are we doing that? Oh, you don't like LGBTQ. That's not it at all. We didn't need another fucking law. We just need to enforce the ones we had. So we get obsessed with the problem, not the solution. We already have a solution in place. We just wrote another law for it, though. I'm sorry, what? All you got to do is, it's the amazing workaround. All you got to do is wait for the charge to go through, and then we'll start the extremely long process that will keep your $850 in limbo for the better part of 2 months. But when we return it, we want to tell you that we're about solutions. Incredible card spreads tonight, guys. Thank you so much for being part of the journey. I know you guys are still hanging out. I know some of you jumped off, jumped back on. A lot of people watch this video tonight. Heart taps everywhere, guys. Stay tuned. Keep your head on a swivel. And remember, call out the evil when you see it. Call out the hate. And keep going. All right, guys. Take care. Keep going.